welcome to our YouTube channel, Black Kids, White Coats. My name is Adama. I am a fourth-year medical student in Southern California. This is my special guest, Ikenna. He's my brother. He's also a fourth year at a different school in Southern California. I know it's been a while since you've seen me. Fourth year has been kind of crazy with applications and interviews, but now that we're getting ready to match, things have kind of slowed down. So we thought, what better time to help you third years and prospective third years put your best foot forward in applying for fourth year, VSAS, which is kind of the overarching big part of the first half of fourth year, and how to get ready.
Yeah, so part one is the video today, and we'll be talking about VSAS, which is the Visiting Student Application Services.
Yes. Mouthful.
Kind of crazy to apply for, but it's very doable. So when you talk about VSAS, you're thinking about like the third year who's going into fourth year. It opens kind of in the second half of your third year, so February.
So now.
Yeah, so around now, yeah, if it hasn't already opened. So there's a couple of goals. So the main thing with VSAS is you want to know what specialty you're going to go into, right? Because you're applying to do a rotation at a certain school for a certain specialty. So some of the more competitive specialties, like ENT, ortho, plastics, is going to require you to do in a way. They want to see letters from other institutions. Things like ED required to do in a way because you need a standardized letter of recommendation from another institution. And then even if you're not going into one of those specialties I named, you can still use VSAS as a way to go to other programs and check those out. Like, let's say you want to, oh, there's this program in Oregon that I really like. I've never been there, but I just know that I've heard good things about it. You can go and do a 2-week or 4-week rotation there to see if you like it. And by rotating there, it actually increases your chances of matching there, as long as you didn't do anything stupid during the rotation. So the main thing is that when you're going for an away, whether it's, for one of the specialties I named that's required or not, like you want to be 100% all the time. You want to give it your all. I was told that it's better, if you're going to give it 70%, 80%, it's better not to go if you're not going to give 100, just because it really can help your chances to match at a place, but it can also really hurt your chances to match at a place. So the start is that you start in February. The good thing is, so the things you need to know is the specialty you're going to go into and where you want to do your rotation. So whether that means location, right? Yeah. I have family in the area, so it's going to be easy to rotate there for 4 weeks.
Because it gets expensive.
It gets super expensive.
The money.
Exactly. So whether it's location, whether it's reputation. I mean, some people, let's just say some people are all about reputation. They're like, I want to go rotate at this place just for the name. Yeah. And I mean, it could be a great opportunity because it gives you a better chance to match there, and you can see if you actually like it or not.
Yeah, especially if the program is like in a different state. Say we're from Southern California. If we wanted to go to a program on the East Coast, so VSAS or an away rotation is really important to give your 100% because you get to see if you actually like the area. Because if you don't, that'll cut out a lot of programs. And if you can actually see yourself working. So it's important to do 100%, give 100%, and really apply broadly if you're not really sure where you want to end up.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, so like ED and then some of the more like competitive specialties or how we required away specialties, you're going to want to get a letter from them. So giving your 100%, you can get a letter from the program director, from one of the chiefs of one of their services. So it's really important that when you go out there, you're hustling. So those are kind of the main things. So for the application cycle, like I said, you have to know what specialty you want to go into and where you want to rotate. And once you do that, you want to go on to their website, the VSAS website. You want to look up the schools that you want to apply to, and you want to see the things that they require. Some schools are going to require a letter of recommendation. Some schools are going to, they require your immunization record, so have that ready. They require some stuff from your school, so be in communication with your school. There's just files that they want you to have ready, and you can actually access VSAS before it's officially opened, right? So you can log on, look at the school, look at the requirements, get all of that ready, and as soon as that school opens its VSAS application, you can apply right away.
Yeah, and what's confusing is some people just assume, you just put your name, address, and you can apply to any school that you want. It doesn't work that way. Like we said, some schools require a letter of recommendation. For the more competitive specialties, for example, he's applying into orthopedic surgery, you're going to want a letter of rec from someone ideally in that specialty. For me, OBGYN, middle tier in terms of competitiveness, so I didn't necessarily need one for an OBGYN, but it helps. So that's something that you need to ask for now, technically yesterday, but now. You need to get that letter of rec, because you don't want to really like a school and be like, dang, you know, by the time, you know, specific dates that you want to apply for, you don't want to cut yourself out of the running because you don't have all of your things put together.
Yeah. So for me, one of the schools that I applied to rotate at just started requiring a letter of rec, right? And so I was like, okay, well, you know, I was really good with the orthopedic department at my school, so I was able to kind of go in and talk to one of the, you know, attendings and was like, hey, I need a letter. Can you help me out? And he was able to get it for me, but it's good to know in advance so you can give them an advance warning and you can have that letter as soon as it opens. Just because certain schools will screen you out, who knows, by like whether you honored a certain thing or your resume or your step score, they will. But some schools will literally, as long as you meet a certain requirement, which is like, you know, not very strict, it's first come, first serve.
Yeah, but also immunization records, that's another thing that a lot of people get tripped out on, because especially Hep B, because some people do the first series of Hep B, and then when you apply to med school, I don't know if you remember, you got your blood test to see if you're titers, if you're still immune, and if not, you got some shots. A lot of people got the first Hep B, but some people, they get into the throes of medical school and they forget, oh crap, I actually need to finish the series, or at least get the second shot. So you want to make sure your immunization records are all up to date, and if not, get the blood test, see if your titers check out, and if not, get the shot, because I know for hepatitis B, some hospitals, they'll say, okay, you get your Hep B shot, and then you have to come back in a month to get the blood test, and that wastes a lot of time that you really don't have.
Exactly. So that means if that means you have the series of Hep B and you have the titer, then you're good.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that titer and you forget to, some med schools will kind of just let you slip under the radar, but you want to make sure that your titers are kind of up to the standards.
Yeah.
And you can even get the immunization sheet to fill out, because it's a standardized sheet. You can get it early and actually start filling it out before VSAS even opens. So you can get this done pretty early on.
Yeah, but that's why it's important to know which schools you want to apply to, because some of them have a separate immunization form other than the actual VSAS standard immunization
on top
form.
of.
Yes.
So you have to turn the VSAS, and some of them want an additional required.
Yes.
Some schools want a urine drug screen.
Yeah.
Some schools want just random fingerprinting, so you have to find out where that is. And if you're doing it around if you find all this stuff out around the time everybody else does, it kind of gets hectic.
Yeah.
But if you can do this, if you can find out all this stuff beforehand, you can kind of get a jump on it, and it really helps the process go smoothly.
Especially also if you have your positive IGRA or positive PPD for TB, and you need that chest X-ray, that's another thing that can delay your process.
Exactly.
So make sure all of your immunizations are a go. So in terms of organization, you need to know where you want to apply, at least general regions. Look at programs, and you also want to look at dates, because interviews start as early as October. For some programs like family medicine, IM start a little bit earlier, so you're going to want to plan your easier rotations around that time, so you can finesse and group interviews together. But that will be in the second part of the video.
Yeah, and just know that you don't want to apply to too many away programs, and then you get accepted to multiple, and then you have to pull out of some just because that makes you look really bad. My program director said, if I give you an away rotation and you say no, I'm good, because you have somewhere else to go, then when application season comes around, I'm gonna be like, why would I want you if you didn't want to come and rotate with me? So just be very conscious of that. If you did apply to 4 aways and you're planning on doing 3, as soon as you get that first 3, withdraw your 4th before they actually accept you. That's really important. You don't want to burn bridges before you actually kind of step out into the application season. I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, you can leave comments. We can kind of answer in the next video, or even comment. And then also in the next video, we'll talk about actually doing the away rotations. So how to hustle, how to look good. Our specialties are she's OBGYN, orthopedic. So it's a little, it's going to be geared towards what we did.
Surgical.
Exactly. And then we'll talk about a little bit more of navigating 4th year.
Yeah. So
interviewing.
Kind of a summary. Make sure you know what regions you want to apply to. Make sure you know specifically what programs, what specialty. Make sure your immunizations are in check, and get that letter of rec.
Exactly.
ASAP.
If you need it. If you go on the VSAS site and you see you need a letter of rec, get it. Because one of my programs did, the other ones didn't. And then also just know what specialty you're going into. That's really, really important.
Really important. And if you have 2, that you're kind of on the fence about, get them out early. Do one of each.
Exactly.
And figure it out.
Exactly.
Like unless you dual apply.
Yeah, because I had a friend who was thinking peds and OB-GYN, and she did them back to back. She actually did them at the home school, but you can do them a ways, and she did them back to back. And she just realized that, I like this one better than the other, so she was able to. Yeah.
And one last tip that's completely random. For people at newer institutions like myself, I'm at a newer institution. What ends up happening is when you want to apply to some of these programs for VSAS, they actually need affiliation agreements, insurance. There's a lot of extra paperwork. So if you're at a newer school and you know that a certain program doesn't have an affiliation with your specific institution, make sure that you get those papers squared away, because that can take up to 3 months to figure it out. And by the time that's done, your spot could be long gone. So really keep on track. Keep an Excel spreadsheet if you need to. You're going to need all the admin at your school to help you navigate this process.
And everywhere you go, make it a goal to get a letter of recommendation, right? It doesn't make sense to go somewhere and not get a letter of recommendation. So even if you're from the West Coast and you go to the East Coast to do a rotation, you get a letter of recommendation from the East Coast, send that letter of recommendation to all your East Coast schools you're applying to, because you can send different schools different letters of recs. We'll get into that in the second video, but that's kind of the importance of VSAS. And yeah, you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, I think we're good.
Thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Email us if you have any specific questions or things you don't really want everyone else to know, and we will get back to you. Thank you so much.
Sounds
Bye.
Good.